Mr. President, I rise to express my support for the fiscal year 2025 National Defense Authorization Act. I am glad that we will be soon voting on final passage of the bill, and I expect it to pass with strong support. First, I would like to acknowledge the great work and leadership of my colleague, Senator Roger Wicker. Also, our colleagues in the House, Chairman Mike Rogers and Representative Adam Smith. Their partnership has been crucial for the success of this bill. And the hallmark of the Senate and House Armed Services Committees has long been bipartisanship. And I'm glad that we have continued that tradition for the 64th consecutive year. I'd also like to thank the members of the Senate and House Armed Services Committees who helped produce this bill, as well as Leader Schumer, Leader McConnell, Speaker Johnson, and Leader Jeffries, who facilitated a thorough debate and enabled all members to engage in the process. We were able to negotiate hundreds of bipartisan provisions between both chambers over the past few months. This is a strong, forward-looking bill that we can all be proud of. This NDAA is laser-focused on the threats we face. First and foremost, it recognizes the urgent challenge that China poses to our national security. Beijing continues to escalate its aggressive behavior, both militarily and economically, against the U.S. and our allies, and we must respond with resolve. This NDAA makes strong progress in that regard. Among many other efforts, it authorizes $15.5 billion for the Pacific Defense Initiative. It establishes a joint force headquarters in Japan, and it strengthens a number of our regional networks, including AUKUS, the Quad, our trilateral partnership with South Korea and Japan, our alliance with the Philippines, and our partnership with Taiwan. These are momentous accomplishments. The NDAA also addresses the evolving threats from Russia, Iran, North Korea, and transnational criminal organizations. It authorizes full funding for the European Defense Initiative, provides support for our security cooperation missions with Israel, and improves our counter-drug capabilities in the Western Hemisphere. Importantly, the bill authorizes record-level investments in key technologies like hypersonics and artificial intelligence, and significantly increases resources for uncrewed systems and counter-UAS development. Indeed, our drone capabilities, both defensive and offensive, must be improved quickly, as we are seeing every day. The bill also makes substantial progress towards modernizing our ships, submarines, aircraft, and combat vehicles. Most importantly, this NDAA provides an historic level of support for our troops and their families. We have included the largest pay raise for junior enlisted service members in decades, expanded eligibility for the Basic Needs Allowance, and authorized increased funding to repair barracks around the world. Now, I acknowledge the concerns that some of my colleagues have about the bill. A number of senators hope to see a higher top line to match the threats we face around the world. Their concern is well-reasoned. However, I would point out that the Fiscal Responsibility Act of 2023, which was demanded by House Republicans, clearly set forth the top-line cap and the budgetary consequences that would result from breaking it. The top line we ultimately negotiated adheres to that law. Nonetheless, I am confident that this bill will provide robust capabilities for the department. In addition, I share many of my colleagues' frustrations that the bill includes a provision that would prohibit gender-affirming health care for minors in certain circumstances. I voted against this provision in committee, and I disagree strongly with including such a, frankly, I think, misguided provision in the defense bill. And we will continue to work to ensure the health care rights of all military personnel and their dependents. Ultimately, though, we have before us a very strong National Defense Authorization Act. I am confident it will provide the Department of Defense and our military men and women with the resources they need to meet and defeat the national security threats we face. Now I would like to take an opportunity to recognize the staff who have made this bill possible. Senator Wicker has already pointed out the extraordinary members of his staff and rightfully commended them for their excellent work. I specifically want to recognize first the director of the Democratic staff, Elizabeth King, and the director of the Republican staff, John Keats. They did a superb job. They've led their staffs with professionalism and skill. I'd also like to thank members of the Armed Services Committee staff on my side of the aisle: Jody Bennett, Carolyn Chuda, John Clark, Jenny Davis, Jonathan Epstein, Jory Feldman, Kevin Gates, Creighton Green, Chad Johnson, Gary Leland, Maggie McNamara Cooper, Mike Noblet, John Quirk, Andy Scott, Cole Stevens, Meredith Werner, Allison Warner, Isabel Piccati, Leah Brewer, Sean Jones, Joe Gallo, Ryan Bates, Brittany Amador, Sophia Kamali, Noah Zisk, and Zachary Volpe. Also, I want to thank the floor staff and the leadership. We can't get anything done around here without the floor staff and the leadership. Thank you, Senator Schumer, for your great efforts. Yeah, and as the Majority Leader points out, the floor staff is the most important component of what we do. You've been part of this process for the last several weeks, and you've done a remarkable job getting us to this point. And I thank you very much. Finally, I urge all of my colleagues to support this bill. And with that, I will yield the floor.